We are live. We are live, you know.
White boy dancing. Can't stop this.
Can't stop that funky white boy dancing. Play that funky music, white boy.
Oh my god, I remember that song. What the fuck?
So, what has been happening these past 2 weeks? Because a lot's happened in my life.
Well then, this is going to be one hell of a trip.
Alright.
I actually went down around my area, garage sailing with my mom and everyone.
Nice.
My mom and her friend, and we found some clothes. We also found. I'll be right back. Let me grab this.
Alright. Finding stuff through garage sales can always be nice.
I can't hear you because my headphones are off, but let me just say, this thing is fucking awesome.
Is this the piano that you were telling me about before the podcast? Actually, wait, you can't hear me. Now you can probably hear me again.
It is an electronic motherfucking piano. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Nice. How much did that cost you at the garage sale?
It was like $20, I think. And the thing's in near.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a piano.
Right?
You lucked out on this one.
Oh yeah, and I've been wanting one for a long time. Yeah.
You think you're gonna learn how to play the piano professionally then?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on virtualpiano.net because, like, I mean, like, when you get used to it, all it is just sliding your hands across a board of separate keys. I mean,
yeah. Next time you come to my house, we'll get you on the Rock Band 3 piano.
I'm gonna get wrecked.
You be on the piano, I'll be on the guitar.
If anything, I'd probably be on the drums.
I play a mean Guitar Hero guitar. Well, I don't have a drum set, though. I used to have one, but it was way too bulky to keep in my house, so we had to get rid of it. I'll probably buy I'll buy another one later on, though, when I've actually got more space. Also known as when I move out, sometime at Nova Clock. Anyway.
Get the fuck out of there, bruh.
I want to get out of here so that way I can just freaking put anything where I want to instead of having to cram everything in this tiny-ass room. I can already see... I'm looking at my shelf now. I have room for, like, 3 more games on my shelf, and then I've got to clear off the shelf that's over here out of frame of my webcam. But I got to start clearing that off soon so that way I can start putting games on that shelf. Because that other shelf has my... what does that shelf even have? It's got some disc cases. It's got 2 sets of GameCube bongos, 2 taiko drums for Taiko Drum Master, a skateboard for a Tony Hawk game, a fight stick, and a Lego Dimensions portal.
Dang.
So I can probably find stuff like... That's probably stuff that's going to end up getting moved into my bedroom ultimately. So I can just put more games on there. But... that I have a little bit more space, so I won't have to worry about that for now.
Right.
But there's games coming out, and those games are going to get put on that shelf.
So, more important question here. When are you moving out?
When I have the money to be able to get my own place. Like, I've only been working for like a month, and I've got a decent amount of money from just that 1 month, like $500, which is pretty good. Although, that $500 is going to be spent on video games because I've actually got a few coupons to a vintage game store that I haven't used yet, and they expire at the end of this month. So I'm like, it's 10% off per purchase. Might as well put them to use.
May as well.
But, which is why, this Saturday I'm going to be first heading off to, I'm gonna head to a bunch of retro game stores to kind of scout out the place and see if I can find anything really nice in one of those. Like, when I went to the vintage game store that's local to me called Game Over, I found a number of collector's edition stuff, which
Oh,
a lot of those are always really eye-catching to me. Probably the
this
most
is
eye-catching.
unfortunate.
What is unfortunate?
Sorry to interrupt, but my freaking webcam froze.
Yep,
Hold on.
I just noticed that. I just noticed your webcam froze. So while you're trying to fix that, I'll continue speaking words. So the most eye-catching thing I saw at Game Over when I went up there yesterday was for $30 the collector's edition of Blaze Blue, which I have not played a Blaze Blue game, but I have seen them, and it looks like a interesting fighting game. Let's hide that for a sec. Because we just dropped the call! Cool. Let's try to get him back on the line. And don't leave me alone, sir. Come, get your... Can you get back on the line so we can start talking about more useless shit? That is not useless at all. I guess I will talk more about stuff that I found at that store. I also saw a collector's edition for Tomb Raider. Oh god, what else did I see? Final Fantasy 3 for DS. I didn't really purchase anything yet, though, because this is part of that whole scouting the shops plan. And, they did have, since we were on the topic of pianos, they did have the Miracle Piano for the NES. So, that looked pretty interesting. Oh. Hang on, we might be able to get him back on the line here. Welcome back.
Fucking Skype crashed.
Nice. Nice.
I was basically... What fucking happens when you're a white boy? This is what fucking happens.
While you were gone, I ended up talking about a few other things I found while I was at the store, which was Blaze Blue Collector's Edition for like $30. Tomb Raider Collector's Edition.
Right.
But basically a bunch of Collector's Editions. And this was just scouting the store, so I didn't buy anything. But I intend to scout more stores on Saturday. Because I know one of the stores I went to a while back called Game Gurus. One of the things they had that was really eye-catching to me is a Pokemon Mini.
Pokemon Mini?
Yeah, so I don't have it with me, so I can't really show it easily, but it's basically like it's a system that's like this big. It's about this large, and it's just a bunch of Pokemon cartridges. If they still have it, like, the reason I passed on it last time is because they didn't have the battery cover.
Right.
If they have one that has the battery cover, I'll definitely pick it up to show on the podcast for next week.
That would be quite the interesting show and tell.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff. I'll definitely have at least something for the next podcast, because I will be like heading out to spend some of that money I have. I don't know what I'm gonna spend it on yet, but I've basically got a hit list for stores, so I'll just be heading up to them. But I also talked about how another thing I saw, and I'm pretty sure I talked about this after Skype crashed, so you wouldn't know about it, is the Miracle Piano for the NES. Basically a giant-ass piano for an NES game. But
you're kidding.
Yeah, this is an actual thing. And it is the thing I'd love to have in my collection, but again, goes back to the whole I don't have the room problem. Anyway, what else happened this week? Because a lot happened, so I'm trying to think about where to begin. Arcade Pit happened.
Ooh.
Which, after the last podcast, I sent you a link to Arcade Pit because that was going on. That's actually probably going on this moment.
Right.
I don't know who's playing because last week I had to play my round, and I was sick as fuck during that round.
Wait, how bad?
Like, I could barely talk.
Oh my god.
But that I still had to play. But most of the time what I did during the round was, I just messaged my teammate what I wanted to do with what we had to work with. Like, I'd message him the answers to questions, or I'd message him, like, I want to take this challenge. Which worked pretty well, because ultimately, we did win the round. So now we're in round 3.
Ooh.
And I'm really excited for that because our next round is actually going to be against 2 friends of ours in a few Discord servers.
Ooh.
So it's going to be friend and friend against friend and friend. It's going to be a very exciting match, and I don't know when that match is going to be. It's either going to be next week is going to be finishing up round 3, or no. Next week's going to be finishing up round 2. And then the next 2 weeks after that are going to be round 3. So one of those 2 weeks I'm going to be competing. I don't know if it's going to be the week that falls on that's going to be falling on our next podcast day or not yet. But the thing about that is once I get past, like, assuming I get past round 3, I'm pretty much going to be competing. Okay, let's assume I'm on the second week for round 3.
Right.
Assuming I get past that, I'm competing every week in Arcade Pit until the tournament's over, until I get out. Because round 4 is going to take 1 week, and round 5 is just the finals. Which, we'll see what happens in round 3, first of all. I've already started practicing for Arcade Pit. I know my friends who I'm going to be going up against, they intend to start practicing once round 2 has concluded, so I'm going to have a head start on that.
Right.
So, I'm hoping that'll be enough to give me an edge. Admittedly, I did play a pretty bad round of Arcade Pit last time, because the game board was not the kindest to me, and the 2 games that I was actually somewhat confident in, Ghosts and Goblins for Genesis. Actually, no, it would have been Ghouls and Ghosts technically, but name games. That and Donkey Kong Country. My opponents took Donkey Kong Country and failed at it miserably, which made me sad because it was a challenge I would have aced no problem. And then they rerolled Ghouls and Ghosts off the board, so I didn't get to play either of those.
Dang.
Yeah, you looked like you were ready to say something.
Yeah. I was about to say, let me guess, broken controller?
No, it wasn't a broken controller, it's just me playing bad.
Alright.
It was also a lot of games that I wasn't that familiar with. Like, I was familiar with Link to the Past a decent amount, which was probably the challenge I did best at. But otherwise, it was stuff like, we had to open up with a game on the NES called Hammer and Harry. I had to play games like the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin. And we had to close off the show by playing Bubsy for the Super Nintendo.
Oh no.
Which... everybody's favorite cat, Bubsy.
Bubsy.
Which...
is a bobcat.
The final round was somewhat terrifying. The final round was somewhat terrifying, though, because if our opponents won... like, if our opponents took first and second during the final battle, they would have actually won over us. But, fortunately, I managed to come in first for the final battle, so I managed to keep us in the lead, bringing us into round 3.
Damn. Hey, don't lose your head this round. Jeez.
Yeah. I gotta hope
Oh,
the Gambler board is a lot friendlier to me with the games. Like, I was
yeah.
watching the previous round, and one of the guys had to play Ninja Gaiden 3. I'm like, dude, I wanted Ninja Gaiden 3 so badly. And there was even a plus 10 on it, so because of that, picking the challenge by default would give you an extra 10 points.
Right.
Which is used to basically encourage people to try new games on the show. But that kind of sucked. What else was it? Oh, yeah. Our round had the pleasure of getting to debut a new category that's been added to Arcade Pit. We got to show off the new category, Relay Race. So the way this works is there's 2 challenges that are put up there, and everybody has to play. You decide on one person on your team to take one challenge, while the other person takes the other challenge. Like, for example, we had to play Aladdin for the SNES for Relay Race, and then F-Zero. So I took Aladdin, and my partner took F-Zero. So the way it works is, first, the person playing Aladdin on each team had to play, and once they clear that challenge, then their teammate gets to work on the F-Zero challenge, and the first one to clear both challenges wins the relay race. Pretty cool idea for it, but maybe not the best debut, because neither I nor my opponent, because for the Aladdin challenge, at least since it was the first one, there was a 3-minute time limit that was put on there to make sure it doesn't go too slowly. Neither of us beat the Aladdin challenge within those 3 minutes, so it was basically just straight up an F-Zero team battle. So, but I like the idea. I'm really interested to see what happens with a relay race down the road.
Right.
That's been a thing. Speaking of competitions, yesterday I was in a tournament for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U.
How'd it go? You didn't wreck anyone, did you?
No, I did pretty decently, but okay, let's start from the top. So, first, we had to find parking, which was already a pain in the ass because the parking signs for the college where the tournament was being held were really vague. Like,
How vague?
extremely vague. Like, it was like permit parking only. And we had no idea where to park because we didn't see anything that said visitor parking. So we're kind of just driving around for about half an hour trying to find a place to park, and then we just parked somewhere where we got out and we asked the people who were familiar with the area, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can park there." And we didn't have much of a problem with parking after that. So then we got into the building. And then we had, the Smash Tournament didn't immediately start. Instead, what we had to do, and I was ranting about this slightly on Twitter, we had to sit through about 3 hours of panels. And it's basically, a few people from, like, PopCap and a few other companies that I don't remember. We basically came up, talked about what happens in the industry, because this is a school that's for pretty much game design.
Right.
But, unfortunately, the panelists kind of went on for a while. Like, the guy who was asking questions for the panelists, he basically just kept asking the same question, and we kept getting the same answers. You could tell it was going to be a snooze fest when he was asking about someone's history, and they're like, "I used to be an economics major," and it's like, that's... Like, I fell asleep during the panel.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because, like, let me bring up Twitter and read out exactly what I wrote for this snooze fest.
Right.
So, let's see here. Well, first I started talking about trying to find a place to park. And then I wrote, maybe it was a good that it took as long as it did to park, because the speech went on for an hour and a half. This is already midway into the speech, so the speech isn't over. And then I wrote, fuck, there's a second speech? And then I wrote, both speeches are talking about the exact same things. Then I wrote, I came here to smash, not to listen to speeches for 3 hours. Then I wrote a third one, because there was a third speech. And then I wrote, fucking finally. And that's about the time when the tournament started. So we got there at around 12 noon. Between trying to find a place to park and listening to the speeches, we didn't start the tournament until around 2 in the afternoon.
Damn.
It was boring. Like, I'm sorry to panelists who, like, talk about this stuff, but when you have to sit through basically the same thing for 3 times in a row, taking about an hour each time, people, like, I was overhearing a few things that people were saying. Even they were getting bored by this.
Right.
But anyways,
It's like...
after that, the tournament started, and then we got to playing. I got a bye for round 1, so I was automatically in round 2. Round 2, oh god, who was my opponent in round 2? That would have been the Pikachu user. So I fought someone using Pikachu. I 2-stocked him pretty easily. Didn't have a problem getting into round 3. Round 3, right. I played against someone who was playing Villager. And, that was actually, like, the closest match that I did win, because we were at, like, 150% damage each. So one good hit from either side would have been enough to seal the deal, so I was lucky to get that hit in and make it into round 4. Round 4, I played against someone who used Kirby, and I kind of like what their strategy was, where we went on Non-Omega Duck Hunt stage. So there's a tree off to the left side, which is, like, it's a tall tree, so if you get a good hit on there, then you can easily knock somebody, like, sending them upward to kill them easily. So what they did is Kirby, so one of Kirby's throws, he basically goes super high up into the air and then, like, smacks you down. So basically what he did was when we were on the ground, he used that on me, then he brought us high and then smacked me on the ground, but because there was a tree there, he smacked me on the tree, which was enough to kill me. But that was the one kill he got off me because the moment I got back in the game, I took away his last stock. So, because of that, that got me into the semifinals. So, by default, I've at least gotten 4th place.
Right.
So, semifinals come in. At this point, it's now best 2 out of 3. So, you have to win 2 matches to move on. Before, it was just single elimination. So, my next opponent was playing Shulk. And he thoroughly kicked my ass, because he actually played a pretty good Shulk.
How good? Like, what was he doing?
Like, he was able to keep me in the air. The best thing I managed to do against him was, he was trying to, like, juggle me off to the side of the stage. I was playing Ike, and I just said, I'm pretty much just like, I don't want any of this shit. So I up-B'd and brought him down with me. Which was the best thing I did in that match. I still lost that round, so now I went into the, not really the loser's bracket, but basically the match to determine 3rd or 4th.
Right.
So, we get ready for that matchup, and midway through the match, I realized that the R button on the controller I was using is a very bad R button. Like, it barely works. So because of that, I can't do stuff like dodge, like rolls, shielding, or spot dodging. Stuff that is very vital to you in a Smash match.
Right.
So, I play the round, our first game out of the 3. I get destroyed because I can't really do a lot of that stuff with a non-functional R button. So I switch out the controller. The controller I switched into works fine. So then we go into the second game. This one I took. This time I was fighting against Captain Falcon, for reference. So now we're 1 win to 1 win. So then he switches to Fox, and then we have a very close match, but he barely wins it for the 3rd round. And that pisses me off, because had I not like, had I had a good controller from the start, I likely would have beaten him in the first round and would have won and gotten 3rd place. And, since I haven't talked about this yet, there were prizes for the winners. 4th place gets nothing, so yay, I got nothing.
Damn.
3rd place gets a $100 Steam card. So that's what I missed out on because I got 4th because I have a terrible controller. Mildly salty about that still. 2nd place gets their choice of a PlayStation 4, an Xbox One, or a Nintendo Switch. And 1st place gets a scholarship to the camp they were advertising at the thing. And I actually talked with the guy who was playing Shulk after he beat me. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to play this to get the camp. I just want to play this to win the console. Which
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that's reasonable. That's the reason I was playing as well. Because either I was hoping to either get the $100 Steam card, or I was hoping to be able to win a console to, like, give to a friend or something. Which,
Right.
close but no cigar.
Damn.
It was rough.
That's gotta be
Ultimately,
disappointing.
yeah. Like, if it wasn't for that broken controller, it would probably be a lot easier to accept the defeat. But considering that that controller might have been what sealed the deal for my loss, it kind of sucks.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know ultimately if it was worth it to go to this or not, because there was a lot of salt that came out of me getting 4th, and then having to sit through those 3 hours of presentations. Like, don't get me wrong, anything in between was still fun, but it was, yeah, it was rough. So, maybe now I should talk about games that I've actually been playing. And since I said I was going to... Actually, before that, since I said I was going to do this last podcast, I have 4 weeks of school left. 4 weeks. Which means that the next podcast we do is going to be the last podcast we do while I'm in high school.
Damn.
So that's kind of hard to believe, being this close to the end of it.
Yeah. I'd imagine that'll be pretty fun.
It'll definitely be fun being able to do whatever I want to now, basically. So games that we've been playing. You talked about you play Terraria.
Right.
I have decided to take up on collecting the Guitar Hero games.
Really?
Yeah. So I wanted to start working on collecting game franchises that I've already started on. So Guitar Hero should be a good place to start with that because they're usually pretty inexpensive. The most expensive one that you'll be finding would probably be Smash Hits, which is probably gonna run you about $40. Just the other day I found Guitar Hero Van Halen. I found Guitar Hero World Tour. And, is there any Guitar Hero games I really found? I guess Band Hero, if you count that.
Yeah. Guitar Hero World Tour was very, very nice. Like, I've played that before.
Yeah,
At the very least once.
World Tour is good. I'm
Yeah.
really into Van Halen, though. I want to get Smash Hits. Smash Hits is the next one on my list to try to obtain.
Right.
I started playing Injustice 2, because that came out. I beat the story, playing multiplayer with a friend of mine. Don't really care for how the story ends. So the way the story of Injustice ends, and I don't care about it, that's a spoiler because it's a fucking fighting game.
Right.
But, you basically pick whether you want to ally with Batman or Superman. Batman's ending is basically the Justice ending, where there's balance in the world, and you send Superman, who's trying to take control of the world, to is it the Shadow Realm or the Phantom Realm? Phantom Zone, I think is what it's called. I don't know my
I was about to say that the Shadow Realm is something from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Well, I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, so fuck off.
Alright then, I'm out.
Alright, and then Superman's ending is he gets control of the world, he gets control of Batman, and he imprisons Supergirl.
I don't understand that last part.
Yeah.
I don't like everything else I understand, but I don't understand that last part. The fuck is this?
Yeah, it's not a good ending, but I'm not gonna really dock it on it that much because it's a fighting game and nobody cares about a fighting game story. With a few exceptions here and there.
Right.
I also went back to trying to finish up playing Zero Escape the Nonary games on Steam. So the bundle that has 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors, and Virtue's Last Reward. I've got Nonary games booted up right now on my TV. Like, I'm looking at basically the end of 999. And I'm gonna move on to VLR. I've mainly been playing it because in a Skype group I'm in, I've been watching a friend of mine play through the Nonary games. Like, he's currently in 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors, and we're actually probably going to be finishing up with 999 tonight. So that's been interesting to watch. It's been really funny watching him not see the answer to a puzzle when it's staring him right in the face.
Oh my god.
And it's always good, like, because this is a group of usually around 4 or 5 people, and out of those 4 or 5 people, I'm the only one who's played through the Zero Escape games. So, it's always really funny seeing everybody go like, oh, so that's what this means. When they realize something that's happening either related with the plot of the game or how to solve a puzzle.
Right. And that feels like it's staring you right in the face.
Yeah.
And the person's trying to tell you and you're not even seeing it.
And that's what Zero Escape does very well.
Right.
Stares you down right in the face until you finally figure out what you need to do.
So you finally figure out what you did wrong is more like.
Yep. Pretty much. I also went ahead and since I've got money to spend, at least some money to spend, I got my ass on Humble Bundle. Because there's 2 bundles currently up. There's the Tiny Build Bundle where you can get, well, through that I got Divide by Sheep, Road to Valhalla. I got a code for No Time to Explain Remastered since I already have it. I got Speedrunners, I got Party Hard, The Final Station. I already had Cluster Truck. I got Guts and Glory, and I got Punch Club. I got the Final Station DLC, and I got Streets of Rogue. And there was also a Humble Indie Bundle that I jumped on, where I got Ziggurat, Windward, SteamWorld Heist, Kentucky Route Zero, Beholder, Goat Simulator, I can talk, Goatee, that's what it's referred to, because it's, normally the acronym is GOTY for a Game of the Year. So, right. Goatee, because goats.
Yeah.
And there's going to be another game that unlocks on Tuesday, which I will be able to grab once that's unlocked. And I also got Owlboy through that. So that was fun.
Goat Simulator's always had a weird concept to it.
I'll load it up for a laugh or two, especially since it's got multiplayer.
Oh my god, it does?
Yes, it does. But I'm probably sometime after I'm done editing this podcast and putting it up on YouTube and Podbean, I'm going to take a look at the store itself to see what's on sale and see if there's anything worth buying. Because usually you can find a lot of good sales on there. Like, I'm actually looking at right now. You can... Well, right now I'm on the Deep Silver page. So, for example, one of the things on here that I can see right now is the Game of the Century edition of Saints Row 4, which you can get for $5.
Saints Row.
Saints Row. Well, this is the Deep Silver sale that I'm looking at, so Saints Row would, of course, be on there. Saints Row is a good game, though. It's a good series.
It is. I like Saints Row. I believe it's 3 or 4.
Which one are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of the one where you skydive out of a fucking plane in the intro sequence.
Oh yeah, that's 3.
3. Yeah.
3's good. I like 4 because of how absolutely stupid it is with like the superpowers and stuff. Because like in 3, you have to either use a car or use a helicopter to get everywhere. 4, you can just use superpowers.
Oh my god, seriously.
Yo, dude, we need to play Saints Row 4 one of these days.
We do.
It's a solid game.
Solid? Are you sure about that?
It might be a liquid, I'm not sure.
We'll need to confirm.
We will need to confirm.
Ma'am, I believe I've caught your son doing homework.
Yeah, I think that covers most of what I have been playing this week. I got Fire Emblem Heroes. Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia. I still have to play it, though. It's sitting in one of my cases right now. I will probably play that sometime. A friend of mine is really into Fire Emblem. Like, he pulled away from Persona 5 to play Fire Emblem, and he's right at the end of the game. So, that should tell you something. Which, I guess, yeah, that's right. I've been playing Persona 5. How could I forget about that? Did some more recording of Persona 5. Earlier today, I did not mean to do that. Earlier today, I exported, well, I went ahead and rendered, I want to say it's episode 155.
God damn! You are going crazy with Persona 5.
It's a good game, and I want to finish it.
Good game, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
If it wasn't a good game, I would not have recorded as much as I have already.
Fair point.
Because I'm currently in recordings. I'm in mid-November, so I'm getting pretty close to the end because the game pretty much finishes up in like December, like Christmas Eve. So so I'll have to figure out something to do. Like, I also want to get this done so that way, because there's going to be bonus episodes for Persona 5. So I want to get at least the recording for the main series done so I can just play at my own pace then and get the footage I need for the bonus episodes.
Right.
Because there's a number of things I need to do once the game's over, like covering any remaining trophies I haven't gotten, seeing any events that haven't been seen yet, stuff like that.
God damn.
But that does it for most of what I have been playing. Have you been playing anything else besides Terraria?
I've actually been watching a few videos on PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And I played a game similar to it, that's like a knockoff. I gotta say, the concept in itself is amazing. That you drop into this, like, Hunger Games like area where one area's got bombs dropping in it, the other could, you gotta stay away from big cities, more players, more loot, but it's the whole concept of it, because like games like those, they really test your kind of instincts when it comes to a survival situation. And even though like, making fire, making sure you're warm, even though those concepts aren't apparent in these kinds of games, it really kind of tests your ability to detect things around you, your instincts, in a sense. And I think that's just amazing.
Cool.
I haven't played the game in itself, and I want to so bad. But one, I don't have the computer for it, and two, I'm actually just working on my own personal stuff right now, so I haven't had as much time to play games as I'd like.
I've not been able to play games nearly as much because I'm sure I've talked about this before, but because I have work, that really cuts into a lot of my spare time. Because here's basically what my schedule looks like, and I'm sure I've talked about this before. At the moment, it's looking like I've got school 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. After school on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I have to go to work, so that wipes me out. I had work earlier before this podcast, so I had to work today.
Damn.
Saturday is like the day I've got the most free time for, but even then, that's a stream day.
Right.
I've got a decent amount of free time on Thursday, but I've also got the house to myself, so that's usually a recording day for Persona 5.
Ah.
And then Friday, I've got gaming club at my school. But after that, I've usually got most of the rest of the day to myself. And I also, like, usually around, I was talking about the Zero Escape group where we're watching somebody play, the Zero Escape games. Usually we start that up at around 8 or 9 p.m. And then we go till around, 11 or 12. And then pretty much after that, I'll do either one of two things. I will either go to bed or record more Persona 5.
Hmm. Decisions.
Decisions.
Um, I guess apart from that, I've had more time to work on my story. So, I mean, that's a whole thing.
Yay, story.
I'm gonna get carpal tunnel. I swear, one of these days. One of these days.
Yeah, I've actually funny thing. I started picturing with the way Arcade Pit has been going for me and friends of mine who are also in the tournament so far. I started like picturing basically this whole story around the Arcade Pit tournament, where it's like God, where was this even? Because so during round one, uh, the opponents we had to face basically did a bunch of outdated memes. And because of that,
Right.
people in the audience hated the memes. What people didn't realize is that our opponents were the ones who were spouting these memes, and they thought I was the one who was saying these memes.
Oh
Which,
my god.
fortunately, we were able to clear up in our last round. So we are no longer known as the meme team, thankfully. But I can't really say that my friends had a good round two as well, because for them, people really didn't like that round because everybody, like, it was basically just taking a while for them to set everything up. Like, I think one time it took a good 5 minutes or so for somebody to set up a game, which it should only take you a matter of seconds for that, but I guess if there's technical difficulties, I can understand why, but it's because of that the show went on for way longer. Like, I can even probably find the
Yeah.
video too, just see how long the video is.
Yeah. See if you can send that to me because I'd like to watch that.
I'll send
Also,
it to you after the podcast, and I'll send you my round as well if you want to watch that.
I just slammed my leg against my table and it hurt like a bitch. I don't know if any of you could hear that.
Yeah, it went on for an hour and 12 minutes. Most of these shows go on for about 50 minutes.
50 minutes, and it went on for an hour and 20.
12, but yeah.
Hour and 12. Oh my.
Yeah, they basically filled out the entire map before they found the end.
Wow.
So, that was lovely. Alright. What else have you been talking? Well, actually, I should probably finish my statement. So, yeah, because of that, I, was pretty much thinking up this story around Arcade Pit, where it's like, either me or my teammate wins, and it, like, pisses off the entire audience. It's like, the unexpected person wins the tournament, because, so, like, there's a team on the opposite side of the bracket who
Right.
are pretty infamous for doing really well in Arcade Pit. So it'd be like one of us overthrows them, which would be really cool, but it's just a random thing that came into my mind.
My god.
Alright, anything else you want to talk about that you've been doing these past 2 weeks?
No, I think that's it.
Alright then, why don't we go on to news then?
Alright then.
You want to go first?
Do you think you could start? Because I'm being called.
Alright then. Let's see here. I don't have that much in the way of news, and I'm gonna move your thing. let's see here. Alan Wake is being taken off of stores. In fact, I think it's been taken off by this point. So because of that, the Steam version of Alan Wake is 90% off, so you can get it for like $4. So I went ahead and grabbed that because I can't say I've played Alan Wake, but at least I've got it now for in case I ever want to play Alan Wake. I think it got taken off stores because the licensing for music ran out. So, because if the music gets renewed, Alan Wake may get put back up on stores. Though I don't know because we still have yet to hear about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World being put back up on the PlayStation and Xbox stores. Still holding out for that, even if I've already got Scott Pilgrim vs. the World on Xbox 360. Would be nice to have the PS3 version as well. What else? Nintendo Direct happened. I had no time, so I couldn't watch the Direct, but I got a basic idea for it. Mainly was talking about ARMS, but there was also a trailer for Splatoon 2 at the end of it. The main thing I remember from the trailer, like from the Direct, is that ARMS is getting a global test punch. So I think this weekend is for one of them, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but there's also a, there's going to be another global test punch sometime in June. So I will be, I might play it then. But then again, I also did not participate in the Splatoon global test fire. Hey, you're back.
So, you all good? Do you want me to? Or...
I'm still reading news.
Okay, no worries.
I'll catch you up with the news I wrote. I read out Alan Wake is being taken off of stores, and I just finished talking about the Nintendo Direct, which talked about ARMS and Splatoon 2. Next piece of news in here. This I found really interesting. So there are 3 Japanese Switch bundles that you can get. One is Splatoon 2, the Switch with a physical copy of Splatoon 2. The second one is the Switch with a digital copy of Splatoon 2. And the last of them is the Switch with a digital copy of Splatoon 2, but an empty Splatoon 2 case. Which is really weird. And even weirder is that all 3 of these bundles cost the same amount. Which makes no sense to me, but to each their own, I guess. What else? There were new Joy-Con colors announced for Switch Joy-Cons to go along with Splatoon 2. There's going to be neon green and pink going along with the ink colors, and there's going to be a specially designed Splatoon 2 Pro controller as well. Which I will be pre-ordering as soon as humanly possible. Let's see. King of Fighters 14 is going to be coming to PC. It was originally a PlayStation 4 exclusive, but it will be getting a PC port this year. And final piece of news I have in here and is there will be a book on the history of Rare being released later this year. Not much in the way of news from me this week, but I think that's going to be changing in the coming weeks because E3 is going to be coming up really soon, and there's going to be a lot of news to go over when E3 comes along. Alright, give us your news.
So, it's mainly Terraria stuff, because I tried looking for... tried looking up research on some of the bosses, but some of it is like Terraria stuff. So, you can actually have 2 Eyes of Cthulhu in the world at the same time, which I don't feel like it like that should be possible, but I haven't seen it personally.
I mean, to a degree, that's what the Twins is kind of like.
Yeah.
It's probably a glitch, though, isn't it? Is that what you're talking about?
Probably. It probably is, but that's like weird to know. So you could like farm those dudes.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird glitches though in Terraria. I know, like, without even having to look it up, I figured out a way to duplicate items.
Really?
Yes.
You need to show me that.
Alright, I'll discuss that with you after the podcast.
um, huh. Okay, well, there are 5 developer wings which were given to Chrono, Will, Sanks, and D-Town, developers of Terraria, and allow flight speed of 191 feet. There are also the 5th wings, which are given to Redigit, the creator of the game. These wings allow infinite use and many other features. Unfortunately, this isn't obtainable in normal gameplay. But, assuming you use a cheat engine like Inventory Editor, it can be accessed. However, equipping these will give you the red effect, which causes 2 debuffs that cannot be prevented, 4 other preventable debuffs, most likely killing the player. Obtaining wings will neglect fall damage, thus rendering a horseshoe useless. And the only locked chest you will find is in the dungeon and in the underworld, which I think is pretty weird. I mean, it's logical, but it's weird. Another thing is, like, I went. It wasn't just Terraria, but I'm still coming back to Warframe every now and again, and I'm so close to unlocking Equinox. Equinox is a duality Warframe. There are 2 sides of it: pacify, provoke. You know, it's like yin and yang. I've been trying, and this is a little fun fact, personal. I've been trying for approximately 6 months to try and get the Warframe's parts, and it was painful farming any of it. Okay.
I just had to take a deep breath for this next bit.
Yeah. So, Battlegrounds also has, like, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds also has, like, I'm sorry.
You want to take that?
Oh, never mind. That's something else. That's something else.
Okay, just read us
I
some
think
porn
that's
while
it,
you're at
sorry.
it.
Yeah, totally. I'm gonna just open up a page of freaking. Let's go to Pornhub. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm sorry. I don't think I got everything down.
Don't worry, my stories in adventures in saltiness made up for it.
Yeah. There's gotta be salt, man.
Alright, then I guess that does it for this week. I've been Okami Games.
I'm Nivium Gaming.
And what's your game of the week?
My game of the week?
I have a feeling
Terraria.
I don't even need it. Yeah, I had a feeling
Yeah.
this Terraria.
Yeah, it's gotta be my most recent played game.
As much as I want to give Persona 5 my game of the week again, I gave it game of the week the past 2 times, so I'll mix it up. I'm giving my game of the week for this week to Injustice. Injustice 2.
Nice.
Alright, we'll see you in 2 weeks for probably more news and more stories for me. And it will probably be a show and tell week for me because I'll have bought stuff by then.
Oh yeah.
Later, guys.
Later.